All right, so today's episode, we're going to talk about a small business budget and how to manage that, and kind of share our own experiences on how we manage it day to day, manage it on a monthly basis, maybe how we keep track of expenses, how that involves in reports, the conversations that we have with team members, how you make purchasing decisions, hiring decisions, firing decisions, whatever. I mean, anything that kind of involves managing a budget and finances and stuff too. I think a lot of business owners, they struggle. They maybe they're really good at their trade. They have a skill that they're really strong at, but sometimes when it comes to money, I've heard stories where they're just like, man, can I just hire someone to manage the budget for me? I don't want to pay bills. Like an office manager. Okay. Yeah, you're involved with finances, but you don't write the checks and stuff. So this is almost kind of like that middle ground between somebody that's just getting started and somebody that has like an office manager or accounts payable, accounts receivable. Like, how do you kind of manage that from start to finish? And that almost kind of all involves like your sales team or sales staff, sales members, right? Goals, projections. There's so many different variables that go into that.
I would agree with that. And it varies by trade, business, and frankly, your tendencies as a human being. All of us have different ways we manage our money and our emotional state. So a lot of how we manage our money comes down to how we manage our emotions. So I'm interested to hear individually how we all do this.
I'm a little bougie. I'd rather be bougie than basic.
So then why don't you start this off for us?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's hear it.
Mr.
Let's hear it.
Bougie.
Yeah.
Oh man. So at Sooner Marketing, we use QuickBooks and ClickUp, and I use Google Sheets to manage money, finances. When it comes to doing proposals, I use a software called Quiller, where we can kind of custom build presentations and we put in our terms and contractual stuff in there, and they can just digitally sign it and pay for it right then and there. We can customize it to where they can do 50% deposits, and then we can make them forward to like a next screen if they want to do a booking or schedule calendars, and we can do a lot of really cool customized stuff on there. So Quiller is pretty cool. I like that. And that's something that we just switched over to about 3 months ago. And everyone loves our proposals, which is cool to hear. I love QuickBooks. I started out using Zoho Books, which is okay. They're pretty cheap. I feel like that the software is pretty clunky. It could have changed over the last 6 years since I used QuickBooks. Over the last 6 years, I've used QuickBooks. I really like it. I like to have my chart of accounts listed out pretty detailed when it comes to expenses. Mm-hmm. I want to know where my money's going. If it's insurance, what kind of insurance? Is it workers' comp, life insurance, health insurance? Is it like a umbrella policy or whatever it is, or is it just general insurance? Like sometimes I get pretty specific because I like to be able to know if I look quarterly, I'll be like, did I have to pay for something extra in this category? Right. Programs and apps, I like to keep that separate under IT and internet. And I should actually go and print out my reports, because I think you would look at me like, damn, you've got it pretty detailed.
Yeah.
My income, I do it the same way too. I think I'm going away from this just because it's taken so much administrative time and being real tedious to know what services that we're making money on and which ones that we're not, or where's majority of our money coming from. It has been really nice to see, but for the time being, I just can't manage that anymore.
Is there a reason why you think you'd be better off not doing that anymore? Because the way I see it, and again, this is just taking my personal experiences here, but if you see where most of your money's coming in from, you see where your resources should go. So let's say most of your money's coming in from social media marketing, and very little bit of it is coming in through website design, right? Obviously, you'll be able to see that your income, like for instance, and I don't know your numbers here. Mm-hmm. I'm just spitballing some numbers here, but let's say for social media marketing, it's $500 per closed account or per service, right? And then websites, it's $1,000 per service. But your social media marketing is so much higher, and your profit's actually higher on the websites, but your income is so much higher on social media. Why would you not, seeing those detailed reports, why would you not
segment the difference to be able to know?
Well, not only that, but in a sense, you get to know which one's your bread and butter, which one's your home runs, which ones you're getting on base.
I'm trying to figure out how to automate some of it.
That makes sense.
So if I can continue to know, I want to know. At the end of the day, I'm trying to figure out ways to make it easy to get money in when I have someone's attention. when I have your attention and you're excited and you're ready to move forward on something, if I have to wait to come back around to have another conversation with you to get a check or a proposal, it slows down the process.
Mm-hmm.
It takes longer for me to get money in. So I've integrated Stripe into our Quiller proposals. So when we get somebody's attention, we give them we present with them, we have an exploratory meeting, whatever it is, and then we come back and we say, hey, here's everything that we've outlined for you. Here's what we think that we should do. We build a package right then and there, and they have the ability to like check box or remove or add or take away certain elements of whatever we recommend. And straight from there, they can just pay via Stripe. Stripe integrates with QuickBooks, and then there's a software I had to get to finesse the integration. Because otherwise, like Stripe would just make a transaction, but I wouldn't know who it was for.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't know what it was for. And in order for me to be able to tell Stripe that this product that was sold from Quiller belongs in this service line chart of account is complicated.
Mm-hmm.
When I've got 15 different chart of accounts. And I thought about separating them out, or I'm sorry, about like making them shorter. So like instead of having 15 or 30 or whatever I have, making them like 5 or 10, like more department wise looking at it. So instead of just saying video, I'd have one for, well, yeah. So instead of saying like content production or content production, instead of just having one for production, I have one for photo, one for video, one for blogs, one for whatever else, which is kind of production realm, like actually kind of getting graphic design maybe would be in there, print sales or whatever it is. Like we don't make any money on print.
Right.
We don't upsell it maybe 10-15%. Just kind of depends. Also can't be very competitive in that either.
Right.
You know, so it's more of like a convenience fee than anything.
So now, question since we're talking about small business budget, do you have a budget set up monthly for your team and everything in a sense of where your money should go?
My team doesn't have a reason to spend money. Like, I mean, Bobby's got a small budget to spend money on. If he wants to take somebody to lunch, go buy coffee and take it to them to their office, or buy donuts, you know, things like that or whatever. Or if he needs to go buy something from Staples or buy something on Amazon to help him do whatever he's doing throughout the week or throughout the month, like he can go and spend some money on, you know, I trust him. I give him a budget and say, you know, do what you need to do to get the job done. And most of the time he just runs it by me and gets it approved. But, like Devin doesn't spend any money. He has a purchase order list, and his items are usually bigger ticket items.
Mm-hmm.
They're $400 to $4,000, right? So those I really have to work into, like a Google sheet that I have.
Okay.
You know,
I just wonder because, you know, I'm sure Stone, you're similar. Well, I don't know, but I assume it's similar to our team. You know, I don't have a budget. Like we have no budget.
Yeah. Some weeks are better than others.
Yeah, right. And the whole it comes down to, you know, whenever you say my team doesn't have a reason to spend money, it's like I literally have 4 of us on a team. Everybody's got a company card. Everybody spends money to get the job done. Now, you don't go out and spend $20,000 just out of nowhere, but you know you need to go spend $200, $300 to go get a job done.
Yeah,
you just go do it. Bring me the receipt. You know, I don't need that phone call. I trust you to make best judgment on what you're spending that money on. Most of the time it's material, you know, or a tool, you know.
Yeah, Devin and Bobby, they both have corporate cards. So like I said, like if Bobby still runs most of his stuff by me anyways, but I told him, I've told him, I was like, I trust you to do what's best. You know, Devin has a card, but he doesn't use it.
Right.
But
Stone,
if he needs to, he can.
How do you do it, Stone?
The lead guy, I give him a card. The only thing he needs to buy is water and ice and gas. So just put the receipt with it, leave it in the truck, give it to me at the end of the day.
Chance?
Materials. all my materials are on credit at the supply company. So
Credit lines.
I pay them at the end of the week or however. I think my tab's up to like $9,000.
See, we were talking about this about a week or so ago about how he's in debt to
Vendors.
the vendors, and I'm in debt to just credit cards or credit lines. Or
I mean, I'm my supply company, but I mean, honestly, they probably run my card every day for about $1,500, and it's still just like
it recirculates.
I'll just put the profits in my other account, and they can just basically dig out of that card.
Do you have different accounts for different purposes?
Yeah.
How many
many?
accounts?
Yeah, and I also have Truebill. So, shout out to Truebill. I know I told you about that.
Yeah.
Do you use it?
No.
God, you guys need to hop on Truebill
Why?
because it really helps you control your finances. But you can set up like automated withdrawals to where, like, I got 3 accounts set up. One is baby boy. One is business and one's emergency fund. So every week it pulls out 500. So every week I get 1,500 taken out of my account, and it puts it in this smart savings account.
We've talked about that special $500 too, right? AC goes out $500.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Remember
Yeah.
that?
Yep.
It's always $500 for anything.
Mine's 1,500. 3 different accounts, and it just pulls every week.
You have like 10 checking.
But it also, check this
Yeah,
out.
I think it's like 10 or 11 of them. I have
You-
a lot.
You can click on this,
I
and
think I've got like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
it shows you how much you spend monthly and earn monthly, weekly, quarterly, yearly. So that's why I don't keep track. I just go in here and look at this because all my money that's funneled through my account
Goes through Truebill.
Do you paper
goes
invoice
through
your
my
customers?
debit card.
Yeah, I got you.
Do you paper invoice your customers?
Joist is what I send mine through.
Okay.
It also links to QuickBooks. But
So what do you use the Blue app for? Personal?
Blue app,
The first app, what was that called?
Truebill.
Company Cam.
Truebill.
Oh, Truebill. What do I use it for?
Yeah.
Just tracking. Like it tells me like shows
Is that
me my
personal or business?
I mean,
It's all one when you own your own company, I guess.
No.
That's not how it should be, but
that's
for
not
him,
how,
it's
that's
how
not
it
how it
is.
should be. But I have an account so this tracks. So everything that I get goes through my DBA account, and then I have these accounts that are set up personal for me, and then I also have another account that I have a debit card for that is personal through me. So everything that goes through here, this is linked to my main account.
Gotcha.
So it tracks regardless if it goes through that. I mean, as soon as it hits that account first before it hits anything, and this is linked to that account.
Gotcha. What about you, Chance?
I mean, for me, everything's just one person, so I just track what I know I have to spend, and then just whatever expenses comes up. I mean, it's e-commerce for me. It's really very cut and dry. I don't have any overhead. It's all just out of my house. So
I'm going to say how everybody else says it. Must be nice.
Must
be nice.
yeah, it is to be building a company for 2 years and not make a profit at all.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
real nice.
Oh,
You're just getting started, buddy. You'll get lots of years with no profits.
I'm used to it. It's
Yeah.
okay with me.
So mine similar to Stone, obviously different setup. Brandon, you've seen it, but we have one account where all the money comes into,
Mm-hmm.
and then from there it gets split into our 10, 11, however many accounts we have. And in a sense, that's, I guess I do have a budget for my guys. I've got like a vehicle repair card, equipment repair card. Nobody uses that. I mean, that's a card that more or less doesn't exist. It gets paid off on accounts at the end of the month or at the end of the week, whether that's equipment parts or car parts, whatever it needs to be. But the card that mostly everybody uses, like the material account, which, again, for the most part, there's only one guy that uses that, and that's Victor. And he's got a card that he goes out. Everybody else, if you go get material, you get a check from the office lady. And she asked before it gets sent, what is this job to? Roughly how much is it? And then they get a check and they give it to the vendors, or as Stone uses, credit lines through the vendors, which are grace from God.
Yes, sir.
But
Shout
sometimes it sucks. I mean, you're like, wait, how am I at that high? No, there's no way I owe that much money. And then
Every week.
yeah, it is. Yeah, every week. You're
I'm
right.
like, I'm looking through my email at all the invoices that the supply company sends me, and then I'm like,
How the hell did that happen?
crickets.
Yeah.
Crickets.
Oh, that was not the cricket. Here we go. We got a.
How the hell did it get so high? And then I'm looking back on my phone at like the 6, 7, 8 or different roofers that owe me money
Oh yeah,
that I have to wait. It all pays off though.
it does.
But shout out to the supply company because my tab was actually only $1,500, and these last 3 months they've been letting it. I mean, it's got as high as about $15,000 Just like, guys, you have to wait. I know I'm doing like 10, 15 jobs, but 10, 15 guys have not paid me.
And that is, and I think a lot of that has to
the other
relate
thing.
on the industries that we're in.
Mhm.
Is I'm in the same boat, Like I literally had that feeling this morning. We're sitting there running our books, and my brother, who runs most of the operations, he's like, "Hey, well, how much do we have for this vendor?" And my sister was like, "Oh, I think it was like 32,000," and he's like, "No, I think we're at like 47,000." And we were like, "What?" It's like, yeah, they texted me last night. I think we're at 47. And
My
it's like,
subs and my
holy
vendors, I pay them. I don't want to owe them money.
Right.
I'd rather owe Amex than
And
I
I-
would a vendor.
I think it's
That's a different kind of relationship. But
right, and I think it's different in a sense. Again, from the industries that we're in, it's hard for us to get a credit limit that high sometimes for what we're going for, and the vendors see, like a lot of times. We were talking about, working with the home builder. Once a vendor realizes you work for certain home builders or XYZ, they're a little bit more lenient. And they have for instance, we work with 2 different production builders here in town, and we have a, due on receipt for anything that's not for those builders. Now, whenever it's for those builders, you just put it on that job line and keep going. And then you just put it, literally, it's just builders. They know what 2 builders we're associated with, and they pretty well know they're going to get their money.
well, it's kind of like their confidence level, right? They're like, is this going to be on track? Is this going to be late? How often do we feel like, if you're doing a job for Epic Homes or Executive Homes, right? And you go to one of your vendors and you go, hey, like, I've got this really big job. It's going to cost $15,000 in materials. I know my cap is 30, whatever it is, and I already have a $10,000 balance with you. I need this increase because I got this client that's got big jobs for me. They're going to be like, oh, yeah, well, it's that company? Well, sure, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of works like that.
Right.
Most of the time,
Or
I think
no.
it's just, I think most of the time you just go in there and you hope you can put it on the job line, and they either say yes or no. And then
Yeah, usually just depends on what your tab's at and how big that is. But I mean, with the relationship I've been building with my people, they're like, they don't even question, because if the tab I'm always telling them. I always walk in and ask for the tab. I'm like, how much do I owe you guys? How much do I owe you guys? And they'll tell me, and I'll just be like, okay, just run my card. So
it's the same but different.
Same, but different.
But I couldn't even get a credit card. I mean, I just got a credit card like 2 weeks ago. My dad had to get it for me. Like, I can't get credit.
See, I've been building credit for the last 10, 15 years, as long as I could.
Yeah.
As soon as
long
I
as I
could get a
could.
credit card, I was like,
Yep.
bam, get it.
Same.
Give
I
it
mean,
to
I
me.
was unemployed because I was getting cash for my cousin. So I've been basically unemployed 4 years, and then all of a sudden self-employed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't look so good to the credit companies. They're like, you can't trust this guy at all.
Yeah, so
I wish
get
one of the best things that I love about the Excel sheet that I have is that I can forecast my finances.
Right.
I know exactly how much I'm going to, presumably, things change. We all understand that. Presumably, I can forecast that when things are typically paid out and when income usually hits, how much cash I'm going to have in 6 months.
Right.
So I know, okay, well, the difference between now and then is either X up or X down. Let's make up the difference, or now I've got the budget to be able to go and spend that on equipment, right?
There's
Or
no way,
hire
there's no
somebody
way
or
for me to do that. It, just depending on the jobs. I mean, there's just no way I can forecast what's coming in. I mean, I can. Like, obviously, in our company, we know we have to make at least X amount. I think it's like 35,000 a week is what we need to make to break even. But I can't forecast if we're actually going to make it. If it rains, screws us. If a truck breaks down, screws us.
Mm-hmm.
If I go do a job and it's not ready, screws us. Like, there's so many variables that there's no way I can predict what's coming in. What now I can shoot for, like, as you saw, a sales goal.
But that's like really big picture, though.
Right. But as you narrow it down to where you want to be. But even then, there's no real guarantee due to we talked about it on the first time, Stone was here. The weather just kills your guys. You just can't be as productive. And no matter what you want to do, there's nothing you can do about it. And then the weather, if it rains, there's nothing you can do about it. You're just kind of screwed. And you're just like, well, I was planning on making this much this week, but because of the rain, I'm only going to be making this much this week. And you got to figure it out from there. Whereas the weather doesn't really affect either you or Chance. You guys are lucky.
Well, I mean, kinda. Like we work with a
Content
handful
visits.
of outdoor companies.
Yeah.
When it rains for a week, and then they have to catch up on other projects, and then they want us out on one of their jobs that now got pushed back 2 weeks because they've got the rain happened, and then they have several jobs that they've got to catch up on, and then that project we were supposed to go out in photo and video wasn't. It got pushed back as well, and so sometimes on these jobs, on like these video projects, we'll take 50% up front and then 50% when we're done. So sometimes we'll be like, okay, cool. Well, we close this on June, let's say June 28th, paid us 50%. We know that if we get out there, we have it scheduled for next week. Oh, shoot, now we can't. Now it got pushed back 2 more weeks. Oh, we have this client that's a home inspector, right? For the last month, we've been trying to find somewhere to shoot for this home inspector to do a home inspection type video, right? So I called up this lady I know that it's called Tally Investments, and she buys properties, flips them, has B&Bs and stuff.
Shout out to Ashley.
Shout out to Ashley. Yeah, so she came in clutch, and so did Nathan too. Reached out to him. I said, hey, do you have any homes open right now that we could come by, shoot a video? But the other half of that, I've been waiting on a financial level for the last month and a half, 6 weeks. I'm like,
And like, so it's the same thing. Like
Yeah.
I said, it's the same. We're waiting on our subs or whoever subs us out to pay us. You're waiting on your customers to pay you. You know, what was that?
that was Alexa.
Oh, hi, Alexa.
No, don't say her name. She'll be summoned.
You said it first.
She just needs to be unplugged.
Okay. So I'm curious, with talking about the budget and how we've been talking about how our money gets into us, but how do you decide who to pay, how to pay?
Me and you have talked quite a bit, so I want to hear from Chance and Stone here.
Me too.
Who to pay and how to pay?
Who to pay and how to pay.
When to pay.
When to pay.
Fridays.
Why?
End of the week.
Every Friday?
Every Friday.
I always got
I write my guys a check.
before doing my own thing. We always got paid on Thursdays because at 5 o'clock on Friday, no banks are open. So if you have to, unless you're direct
That sucks.
deposit, I'm just saying.
No, my guys take it to my bank, and
Nobody can see you.
my bank's open on Saturdays. Armstrong, shout out to Armstrong Bank.
He's throwing us
Open
a
on
shout.
Saturdays.
I know,
But my
he's over
guy-
here
Yeah,
trying
he's
to
over
get
here
us
dropping
some
all these.
Hey, you know what we got to
What?
do?
I'm just giving a shout out to the people that take care of me.
No, that's good.
The things.
When you share that to your page, when you share this video to your page,
Yeah.
you got to tag them in your comments.
Mm.
Maybe we'll get
Mm.
ourselves some.
Give them some extra shout outs.
Yeah.
So anyways, you were saying you used to get paid on Thursdays. So
Well, right now, no, I don't pay anybody or pay anything.
Fridays,
Everything right now
I
is
write
paid off.
checks, And
So you own all your inventory?
Yes,
That's really good.
everything I have is paid off. So if I don't make any money, I'm just kind of screwed. But
I think it's a little too premature to think that.
that's what I'm saying.
But so
I'm not a good business conversation right now because, for one, it's just me and my company. I don't pay myself or anyone else, and I don't have any expenses because everything I have right now in stock is paid off.
And your like website's $150 a month, if that.
$70.
Oh God.
Yeah,
nice.
But
That's
still,
my expenses.
it'll change as you. do more
100%. Like
sales
right
and-
now,
yeah.
I cannot be a very good conversationist because I don't have any of the other struggles that you guys have right now because of my certain business and my age in my business.
Oh.
So is
No
there
car
anything that you're taking away?
no car payment.
Huh?
No car payment.
Well, yeah, but I mean that's
House payment.
yeah, that's just normal
But
stuff.
those
But
are
we-
regular
Yeah.
base bills.
As far as the business goes, I don't have
Yeah.
I don't have any expenses.
You know, and we talked about this too whenever the first podcast actually, of how I was very intrigued to see how this is going to go with your business because we're literally capturing
Yeah.
you as a baby and growing up. So you say you're not a good conversationalist yet, but it's kind of good. It's kind of fun to have you. Literally, again, we're going to get you from the wins to
From
losses
zero
and everything to hero.
To hope, yeah.
To zero to able owning an Audi.
Did you see my order?
Yeah.
Did you
You
see how I
sh-
said I want it hand delivered with a crisp high five in my order notes?
It should be. It's in my backpack, which is outside. I did see the notes. Yes.
I'm expecting that.
It's
high
in
five.
there.
So we'll go back to Stone then for this one with, again, how do you pay? When do you pay? You said you pay your guys every Friday. What about you know, we were on very similar aspects of like our vendors. How do you run the rest of that? You said you have like 3 different bank accounts. How do you juggle? Because that's really all we're doing. We're all juggling.
That comes out of, so my account that I pay, that materials come out of, that the supply company has access to, that's where my labor comes out of. OPEX. Shout out to OPEX. Do you use OPEX?
An operating account?
Yep.
It's called the credit card for me.
Really?
Yep. That's what I use.
He's rethinking his structure.
With contract labor,
I get points at 0%. I pay it off.
Contract
every month.
labor, man. If I ran a credit card,
it's hard, man.
oh shit, dude, that's stressful.
It's hard
to run a credit card on, like, yeah.
What
I just, my supply company is, you know, they're lenient with me. Credit card companies
are not.
Which
I think we shared this before, that I used to run credit cards, and we actually canceled all credit cards because, as he said, it's just hard to find leniency with the credit cards. Whereas vendors, do you sit down and have an honest conversation with them, and most of the time they understand.
I mean, my supply company does like $1 million a month. My 8,000, or I think I was doing like 25,000 a month. That ain't shit to them.
Right. And again, I think it's just a business, and that's what I like having you and Chance and Stone and I. It's 2 different, really same industries. You know, you're in the construction industry, but so you run most. You said your material and your payroll comes out of your OPEX. Mm-hmm. So, you know, again, you've seen my numbers, but my OPEX doesn't get touched. I mean, the only thing that gets paid out of OPEX is the other accounts. That's it. So I have a payroll account that pays for my payroll. I got my material account that pays for my material. I don't know who pays for ice nowadays. I think the guys pay for their own ice. We supply their water, which, by the way, it's a lot cheaper to buy a pallet of water than it is to buy individual cases of water. Just so you know.
Yeah, you're right. I should get a pallet ordered in my house.
It's like $320 to pick up a pallet of water, and you're spending $6 a day on a pallet.
Where do you get the pallets from?
Sam's Club. And they're 32, I want to say they do. It's like 32 or 40 bottles per case, whereas Quick Trip, dude, it's like 24.
Yeah,
you're wasting so much money.
Yeah.
Buy a pallet of water. I'm trying to save you some money.
I would tell you my trick on my water, but I can't.
Well, that's all right.
But water's
expensive.
Are you being stingy with water?
No.
Dude, it's expensive.
I'm getting it easier than most people.
There you go.
But the ice is very expensive too.
It's crazy expensive.
It's insane.
Might as well just buy an ice machine.
And I've thought about that too.
Well, the supply company says, so the guys working inside, like my sales people and, you know, all the inside people are like, yeah, man, ice is free. You know, you spend a lot of money with us. And then the guys out in the shop are like, nah, man, ice is $5 a bag. Trying to get us to, you know, they're the broke ones out there.
Right.
Trying to hustle us for $5 bag of ice.
Dude, ice is expensive. Water's expensive. But, you know, and then I got my fuel account, and that's fuel pays. Like I said, I have my individual. So earlier you asked if we can write down all of our individual expenses, right?
Oh, okay.
So
take a moment and challenge everybody for that. What was my challenge? Challenge everyone who's listening and watching.
To write down all of your expenses within your company and a dollar amount.
And if you can't do your exact expense name and who it's for, then at least the categories.
Yeah.
And see how accurate you are.
See, I could do that because all my categories, it'd be easy. It'd be fuel, material, repairs, consumables. I think what other? Payroll. Maybe. Yeah. Trying to think of profit share. I think that's it. Those are my categories. But, you know, individual things get paid. And so Stone wouldn't, I bring this up because whenever we were much smaller, we were running OPEX, paid for everything, right? If there was money there, if there's not money, you know, right. Like you just figure it out. So we started to implement the, you know, profit first system, and now.
Did I give that book to you?
Yep.
Have you finished it?
Yep.
Have you implemented it?
Yep.
Nope.
No, I did.
If you're not going to read it again or give it to another business owner,
okay,
give it back and I'll give it to somebody else I know.
So you have your 5 bank accounts set up?
I went and bought like 10 books to share with people I know.
I use 4.
4.
Taxes, OPEX.
It will save your life. I'm telling you. And that's and in the he's got a video on YouTube, right?
Owner's comp.
Owner's comp. Okay.
Owner's comp, income, taxes, profit, OPEX.
I have so many. I feel like I'm like overdoing
But I
it,
also
but it's
have,
nice.
But I also
It's
have
fun,
the
yeah.
Truebill things
That's
that
true.
pull too.
That's true. So you have
Those Truebill. If you want money out of there, dog, whenever you hit that withdrawal, like 5 days is how long it takes to get money to come back from the Truebill account to be able to use it.
So it's
Wow.
hard.
So
to
it makes
pull
it
out,
really hard. So
Nice.
that's good.
Which is exactly what he was talking about in Profit First.
right.
He was like,
Make it
sure that
hard.
you've got a separate account
Yeah.
and make it hard to pull money out of.
Yeah.
Yep. See, that's the part that I haven't done. My profit account's in the same thing, and it's easy to pull from.
Yeah.
Now, given I try
Dude,
not to pull from there
Truebill,
very
bro.
often.
I promise you will not regret it. It's
Shout
easy
out to
use
Truebill.
That's the only thing I use other than my online banking.
Well, see, I was trying to like pick somewhere I'd want to go like vacation. So like, whenever we originally read the book and implemented it, I was like, we're gonna set up a bank account in Broken Bow. That way, every time I have to go to Broken Bow to pull money out of, I'm
Hour
pissed. I'm
drive.
pissed that I'm not going there for a vacation and I'm going there to pull money out of a bank account. And it has to be between these certain hours. You know, we never got around to doing that, so it's just still sitting in our regular account. But either way, dude, by the time he's, like I said in the video, in one of the videos he's got on YouTube, he says, when in doubt, add an account. And that's literally what's happened. And that's how we ended up with all our accounts is we've been in doubt. And you're like, you know what? Just add another account. And it works.
it does.
It flawlessly. I mean, but again, it comes down to we're emotional human beings. And who are we going to pay first? Whoever's hounding me the hardest. It's just plain and simple. And it's like, that's where it goes. So on our end, you know, with the way it's set up is, yeah, who's hounding us the hardest, but they only get what's allotted in that material account. They don't get anything from the other accounts.
You were asking me earlier if I know where my money comes from. So, you know, we're talking about chart accounts.
Right.
Do you?
Right.
Do you know if it's residential, commercial, if it's landscape or irrigation, or you do?
Yeah. But QuickBooks does all that. And again,
It only does that if somebody
I
set
have
up a
an office
system to do
manager.
that, or an office manager manually does it.
I have an office manager that manually does it.
Yeah.
So yes.
So I'm trying to teach my VA to help me out with that.
See,
And it's taken 2 months to get trained. And
Right.
my billing your billing cycle's maybe a little different than mine, but
oh yeah, way shorter. But also, you're trying to train someone to do it. I got blessed with someone who's already been in the bookkeeping, accounting world, and she came in and like tightened ship.
she's like,
really
"This is how
well.
we're gonna do it."
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, she
Someone
did.
take control. Damn.
It's nice. I mean, it's nice because that's something I don't have to stress about. Although it's not that I don't stress about it, but like for instance, last night got an email at like 8 o'clock, I think, 9 o'clock, and I open it up and it's like, hey, here's the preliminary numbers for tomorrow, and open it up and I told my wife, I was like, hey babe, bad news, I don't think we're gonna get paid tomorrow. She's like, why? I was like, well, I got preliminary numbers and just a quick scan shows me that yeah, we're not gonna get paid tomorrow, just so you know. She's like, okay, whatever, move on. And then today we look at the numbers and I mean, we got paid very little, right? And I was like, well, it works, but I didn't have to stress about it because ultimately, if the spreadsheet works and my office manager is doing what she's supposed to be doing, even if not everybody gets paid the way they want, everybody gets a little piece of that pie. Just plain and simple. And I mean, vendors get the biggest piece of the pie. And the way we work is, you know, OpEx, it's money in, vendors, and payroll get paid first. After that, if there's enough for you, there's enough for you. If not, there's not. But those are two categories, not two people, two categories that make it all happen. Without your vendors, we'd be dead in the water. You know, without our guys being the ones out there actually getting the work done, same thing, dead in the water, you know. And so make sure they get paid first, and the rest of the accounts are, you know, overhead, owner's comp, you know, material or vehicle repairs. Like if I got a truck right now in the shop, you saw it this morning, a blue truck, it needs to be fixed. It needs about $1,500 to fix it. Well, it's going to sit there so there's money in there to fix that truck. It's thankfully that's not a truck that makes us money, but you know, if there's not enough money in there, there's not enough money.
You do something that I think is pretty cool too, and it's something that I've implemented over the last 2 to 3 weeks. Involve your employees in your budget.
Oh yeah,
Budgets, you know, goals if you're hitting them or whatever it is, right? Maybe what needs to be cut back or whatever it is, right? So you involve your employees. That's pretty cool. I saw it on this article that I just pulled up here.
yeah. I like involving my people. I mean, and I don't involve everybody. I mean, like I don't involve my foremans or my labor hands necessarily to a T what we're talking about here, but again, the structure comes down to there's myself, my older brother, who's one of the partners, my sister, who's essentially an employee, my younger brother, who's the same, an employee. Given they both have that ownership mindset, they're still technically employees, and then Victor, who more or less a brother at this point, he's been with us long enough, and he's involved.
I still haven't met him.
Victor?
I don't think so.
Oh, well, that's good. Yeah, you met him at the cookout. You had
Oh,
to.
okay, yeah, I did.
You had
Yeah.
to. But so
I feel like I know him though because I've seen his photos so many times.
Right, exactly. But that whole thing is like I involve the people that make make those decisions. So I don't know if I told you this last week or not. Maybe I did. But last week we were like really, really short on our funds, and I had my little brother who he's got his own bank account per se, his maintenance bank account, and at the time I think he had like $1,200 in there. And I mean, I ran that department before. I know he's not going to spend that kind of money in a week. He doesn't pay for fuel out of that account. It's literally just like oil, blades, stuff like that for the mowers. And we were like super short, had to find money. And I'm like, hey, you don't need $1,100, right? And he's like, well, I was planning on buying this and this and this and that. And I'm like, so you don't need $1,100, right? Because I need about $700 of that, please. But I'm kind of telling you at the same time. And he's like, no, I mean, I'll survive off $300. And then this week he got bumped back up. He got his cut, which I think last week he didn't end up spending any money. But again, it's involving him to know he has the power. He's got the budget. Like, I don't need to know what you bought. You know how much money you have. You know that sometimes I'm going to have to take that money. You know that if there is money, spend it wisely. And, if it comes down to it and a weed eater breaks, I don't want to hear, oh, guys, I need to buy a weed eater. You're like, dude, you got some money. You have your own money. Go buy a damn weed eater and let's keep going. You need weed eater string. Go buy that and let's keep going. You know how much money is in your account every single Friday. If you want to know through the week, just ask. That's technically
You're
yours.
teaching them a really good skill by doing that. Somebody that can walk into that position but doesn't know how to manage that. They don't know how to manage money, right? A lot of people don't, which is the whole point of this podcast.
Right.
This episode here. So somebody that is in their position, whoever position that is, they may have a management title, but that doesn't mean they're going to be good at managing the money part.
Right.
So you're teaching them that.
And the same thing happens with Victor. I mean, so like for instance, this week we had, I think it was like $32,000 that went to our material account. He looked at that. Okay, that's that. And then at the end of it's $32,000 that goes over there, but the vendors get paid. I think we ended up like the vendors going to get paid like $33,000 this week. So we had to make some shuffles, and we're like at the end of that, we're like, hey Victor, you've got about $600 to run next week.
Do you overestimate your expenses?
Oh yeah.
Always.
Just in case.
Oh yeah.
Because guess what? You're always still short.
Yeah. I definitely am I give benefit of the doubt for sure. Like,
it can be disastrous if you don't.
yeah. I mean, why? Like, who cares to? Yeah, I think that if you by doing that, you're definitely saving your ass.
I would agree 100%. And I think there's some expenses that you can count on, like a website, $70 a month. That's $70 a month. I don't know how much you guys pay for QuickBooks, but I think it's like $70-$80, right, a month. And
$190 with payroll.
Okay. Well, we use a separate payroll company, so it'd probably be cheaper if we combine it into one. But anyways.
Hey, I've got a company named Bambi. Shout out to Bambi. You got me doing that now. So this Bambi company is pretty cool. It's anywhere from $100 to $500 a month, depending on how many employees that you have.
Right.
They'll take care of all your HR processes and include payroll
fees
and process it and pay all your stuff and
nice.
Do all that stuff. But you should look into it. It's pretty cool.
Going back to, I definitely will. Just always looking to save money or make processes easier. But going back to like overestimating your expenses, there's certain expenses that you can count on. So like fuel is one of those that I overestimate every week. We put $1,500 into that fuel account, and on average, we usually come in like $1,200 a week that we actually end up spending. But there's the weeks when the sun's shining, it's nice and dry and hot outside, and we're running 100 miles an hour, and there's 3, 4, 5, 6 different pieces of equipment running at different places, and you spend $1,600 a week. and you're like, well, if I would have guessed at 1,200, we would have screwed even worse. Vendors is one that's hard to estimate. You just estimate what that material for that job is going to be, and I always do a 30% more of what I think it's going to be, and somehow it's always spot on. So like if it's supposed to cost $1,000 and I mark it up 30%, like all right, $1,300, we're good, and it always comes out to like $1,300 because there's always something that I missed. It just comes down to it, whether that's a tool that was missed or like
My expenses are pretty consistent.
lucky
See,
you.
my bills don't change. Like what I pay is what I pay every month. The only time that my expenses will change is if we take on a project and have to sub some part of it out,
Mm-hmm.
or travel. That's it. But even then, it's included on the front end of the proposal.
Yeah, mine doesn't really change all that often. I mean, I know that I have materials, and I know that I have labor. Those are my two payouts, other than expenses, which is just gas.
You're kind of like
ice.
that too, though, right? But you've got parts. You've got
He's
a
got
lot
more
more
in
parts.
depth, I think, equipment,
Right.
Equipment.
and he's got a lot more things he has to rely on.
Right.
Whereas I have a bunch of extra of the same shit because I'm using just aluminum metal most of the time. I'm
Right.
just
See,
And
his
you don't need to
services-
hold a lot of that on hand either, right?
correct.
Yeah.
Right, and I think it goes down to the services that we offer.
Yeah,
you're
some
offering
services are
guttering
more
in a
complex.
sense, right? And I've got landscaping takes completely different tools and equipment than irrigation. Irrigation takes completely different tools than mowing.
Same with
It-
me in like websites versus video versus
Right.
social versus
Right.
graphic design. Yeah. But even then, like I have to pay not a graphic design. I have to pay a fee to Adobe every month. But
Right.
even that fee is still the same.
Right. I mean, we pay that.
I have
too.
access. I pay $200 a year to have access to a huge amount, like an unlimited amount of resources for templates and ideas and designs and inspirations and stuff. And then we curate it.
Nice.
So, I mean, sometimes we do like things from scratch where I'll just write it on a piece of paper. And I'm like, this is what I want it to look like. Hand it to my graphic designer. He finesses it, makes it pretty. But then there's sometimes too to where it's so much easier. It's like, we've already found the vision for it. Let's use this template and then finesse it.
Right.
You know?
And my overhead is pretty standard. Like my truck payments don't change. My equipment payments don't change. I mean, they are changing, but we're in the process of doing like the Dave Ramsey snowball to get debt free, which is pretty damn exciting.
How does your sales cycle affect your budget?
Like my guys bringing in, or how I get my jobs.
Well, from cold introduction to interested to proposal or, scheduling and servicing to getting paid. And when do you get paid? And what does your sales cycle kind of look like? And going through busy and slow times too, along with that. That's the second part of that question. So like my sales cycle is on average 45 days to close, which is a long time. It's rare that I find a lead that will close in 2 weeks or less.
Yeah, I would say 60%.
Is that still running?
60% of my jobs are river work. So whenever they hit me up,
It should be red.
they're ready.
They do.
Yeah, whenever they hit me up, they're ready. No more than a week out. I would say my average turnaround's probably about a week.
So you'll get somebody interested, you get out and do the job, and get everything paid in a week.
I think it's different.
Dang.
To see, we're the same, dude. Like ours,
You too?
it depends. You're working for a builder.
Yeah,
Are
it
you kidding me? They'll
depends
text you on Monday and like, can this be done tomorrow? And it's like, well, maybe Wednesday.
Yeah.
Like, and
straight
then
up.
by the next week, they'll
But then
pay
they
you.
don't pay you for 30 days.
No, they'll pay you the next week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the next week.
Builders
You're,
are
Damn.
about every week.
yeah, right. Which again, I think
Unless it's
different.
a corporate. Now, corporate jobs,
Those are pain. Right.
30, 45 days.
And
Yeah.
so,
Welcome back, Chance.
one time I went
Thank
8
you, thank
months.
oh God.
$7,500.
Wait,
Oh,
what'd you say?
wow.
Say that again?
$7,500 8 months.
Wow.
For what? Like, what do you mean?
3 or 4 gutter jobs is a contract for a hospital that had 30 rental properties. And
Still took 8 months to get paid on it. Yeah.
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 Did you charge an interest rate on that shit?
I've heard that.
oh,
Like,
dude, I mean,
You wanted to.
no, I did because Yeah, she told me that the lady that manages that obviously has to send off to corporate. She was like sending another 1,500 for all 4 of the jobs being backed up that much. She was like, that's unnecessary.
Right.
They didn't hesitate. So I mean, 9,000 is what it was.
Wow.
Which is pretty cool.
See, our commercials sometimes take, and again, it depends on which commercial. There's some commercial clients that we work with that will, the job gets bid like in January, February. We don't physically do the job till like October, November, but the week after we finish, they pay in full. And then we have other.
You get paid immediately.
Well, yeah.
Someone wants it.
So
they
like
buy
on
it, and you're
my
done.
current business, yeah, but I can put a little bit of history or experience with this with my old company. So the way it was is they had 120 days to pay, and almost 9 times out of 10, like you're saying, dude, they took 120 days.
Yep.
Yeah, they never pay early. Now, you know, there was a couple customers that were, you know, very routine and they would pay pretty often, but everybody else that we ever had to hire out to it's always 120 days. They take forever.
I put mine on a net 7 because a lot of these companies will wait until it's due.
100%.
So I'll do it like not do on receipt, but do a net 7. I used to have it on net 15,
Oh god.
and I was like, no.
Yeah, I'm gonna go a little bit
because
on
everyone
that one.
wanted to go overdue, and I
100%.
wouldn't get paid for a month out.
Yeah.
So now they go, oh shit, this bill's overdue.
Yeah.
And then they'll pay it.
Yep.
In 10 days or 15 days.
They
And
always
like,
take as much time as they want, which is why I got out of that because it's stupid.
Now, Stone, what's your closing rate on like a residential job, or do you get very many of those?
It's pretty good, man. I get maybe 2 or 3 a week, 2 or 3 bids a week that are them. And
You need to come out to my house and get me a bid.
I do quite a bit. Like a lot of times the customer tells me, or I can sense that the customer's gotten a bid from someone, so I'm obviously going low. But I feel like I'm really good at sensing who's gotten bids, who hasn't.
So how soon do they close, and do you get paid from the moment you get the
Homeowners pay right after we do a walk around. I do walk arounds with all my homeowners
Nice.
because they're special.
Oh, little one-on-one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, make the connection.
And they also feel the pressure of that you want that check right now.
Yeah, that's true too. That's true
It's
too.
just the
Well, I
reality.
mean, sometimes my last homeowner job that I did was last week, the only job I did last week, and she didn't pay for like 3 days. I texted her right when we were about to wrap up. I was like, hey, we're about to finish up, and she was like, okay, I'm still at work, and I was like, okay, no worries. And then I texted her and was like, just give me a shout whenever you are able to look around. And then she texted me like Thursday. She was like, I'm gonna be by there at 11. Haven't been by yet. She owns like 2 or 3 rental properties, and her daughter stays in one, and her mom stays in one, and so she's always over there. But I was like, okay, I'll meet you over there, and we did a walk around, and she was like, awesome, looks great. Here you go.
Boom.
Nice.
Cha-ching,
See, for us, it depends on the schedule.
That's when the
So see, I may contract a job. So like
cha-ching.
Yeah, that's when we need that.
right now, I got a job that I sold in I think last week of June. We're about to do a portion of it Monday. She paid a deposit, so I mean that's good.
Yeah.
Residential job?
Yeah, residential.
Okay.
So I sold it in June because we've been so backed up. She's barely going to get started on doing some hardscape Monday, but I will not finish that job until probably September, October, where I'll actually get to do the plantings.
right.
And a lot of that has to do with my schedule, the seasons, availability. Like if I was to plant plants right now on this particular house that has no irrigation, it's going to die. No questions asked.
Right.
Now, doesn't mean I can't do a section of it, which is what I'm doing. We're doing the like we're painting out the bed, we're cutting out the bed, we're prepping the surface for landscape. But like for instance, that job will take technically from bid to closing, talking 3-4 months.
Still involves an average number. If you take all of your jobs and you put them into an average, it's still going to affect your average.
I think my average is probably about 3 weeks. 3 weeks to a month. Because most of my jobs don't take that long.
20 to 30 days.
We
Yeah.
gave a bid for an apartment complex in May. And we did the downspouts yesterday.
Wow.
138 downspouts. 2-story.
Holy God.
Yeah.
Oh, wait,
That's awesome.
Digit.
that's a lot.
I don't come
awesome.
across 5-digit jobs that much.
Well, that's good, though. No, rephrase that. You don't come across 5-digit jobs that much.
Yeah.
Yet.
Get in the right field.
You're coming
Talking to the
across
right
them
people.
more often.
That's right. After you do one, they'll be like, I can
Oh,
land
one's
another
easy.
one like
But
that.
you know, you need to.
I mean, how many houses, are a 5-digit job for me?
But
Not too many.
yeah, that's
You
true.
get a couple. Depends on how big of a house you go to.
Yeah.
But in the same breath, doesn't necessarily mean you're just doing houses.
I would
mean, you
rather
could-
do a 4-digit job. I'd rather do a bunch of them.
lot less hassle.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Why is that? Why are they a hassle?
Just, I don't like being in a house for more than 10 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours. It makes me want to throw up. Especially if it's
No, I can relate to this 100%.
Yeah.
It's the payout may be a little better because the mobilization and everything. But the
Yeah.
reality is, in your being, something about your brain just doesn't feel as accomplished the more you have to go back to a property.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
Like you do 18 houses in one day, that feels awesome. You do
Yeah.
one HOA in one day, you're like, that was a crappy day.
Yeah.
I feel more accomplished the more times I have to reach out to you guys and talk to you. The more times that we talk and get together and work together
Different
on
fields.
stuff, and like
Yeah.
I'd rather have. I don't want 10 McDonald's size clients, but I don't want $100,250 a month clients.
So
right.
It's
It's a happy medium.
The difference is ours is quality. As far as customers, we want less but better relationships. They need more. Just because 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be able to go get $10,000 from one individual.
Well, and I think a lot of it comes down to the quality of customer for us is different.
Even you
That's what I'm
too.
saying.
You
From
want more as well.
my
100%.
quality.
I'd rather you
Yeah.
spend $600 with me instead of 600 people spend $1.
But see, for me, it's like I want, again, going back to how we get our money, I want the builder
Yeah.
that's going to consistently send me work. Now, that's one customer that sends me multiple work. Same quality customer, same
Yeah.
type of deal. It's just different industry.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Stone can relate. He wants that one roofer that's going to send him hundreds of jobs because you build a relationship with one person, you build expectations with one person,
Mhm.
you build a process with one person versus 20 different homeowners, which are all, everybody's different. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like to have my roofers. I used to have like 25 as of like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Now I'm down to like 2 or 3 because I'm not doing the cheap work anymore. But the roofers that I have that are sending me good quality jobs, they're paying out. But I like my homeowners because the margins are better.
They're like, hey man, can you come out and gutter
100%.
this house for $250
Yeah.
tomorrow? Yeah, and they're selling it for $2,000.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Screw
that-
they want to make the same margins on a roof that they do on your gutter guy, on the gutter guy.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, that goes down to the quality of relationship you're building.
Right.
Because, you get the same. So, like the managing aspect, right? The roofer, or in my aspect, the builder, and I find that most of the time it's the builders or property managers that have less properties, have the less profit margins, and they expect it done faster and better. And it's like, well, hold on. though.
Hold on,
But-
time out. No, I was agreeing with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Whereas we get the bigger builders, they understand that it costs a certain cost to get it done within a timely manner. So they'll pay slightly more, but they also want that slight priority. Now,
Yeah.
you can push them a little bit. So like, for instance, one of our builders this week, they wanted an irrigation done by Friday. There was no way that was going to get done. We pretty well told them that, but then the rain kind of helped them out. And that, because, again, their priority in the back that they're somewhat willing to pay a decent profit margin. I mean, you're not going to get a homeowner profit margin on it, but the reality is they pay for that little bit of priority, where the smaller builders, they just want that price. They're trying to build their name. They got their budgets. They got XYZ. The slightly better quality builders, in my instance, are actually better. You're not going to make that home run on there. You're going to get on base in instance, but that relationship's just so much better because you're not trying to cut costs to make it work. You're just like, hey, you know what? I can do a good job here. I can do it in a timely fashion. Doesn't have to be done yesterday like these people expect, But at the same time, you get the same residential customers. Like I had a person, I think 2 weeks ago, that called in. She's like, hey, I see one of your trucks across the street. Can you guys come give me a bid? And I'm like, yeah, I happen to be available like right now. You're literally 5 minutes from the shop. I'm gonna come by, give you a bid. Irrigation, I can send you a bid here within 30 minutes. So I went down there, and Stone, I know you've been in these positions, but I get out of the truck, and I'm like, all right, well, she's out watering her yard, and I'm like, yeah, just give me a minute. I gotta walk around, kind of do my measurements. I'll give you an estimate, and she's like, okay, how soon can you get to me? And I'm like, okay.
Like, you want me to get you a number?
Yeah, right. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, I can get you in about 2 weeks, which is actually a pretty good timeline for a homeowner. Like, I can get you in about 2 weeks, maybe 3, depending on the weather. And she's like, oh, okay. Make sure you give me a good price, okay? Right then and there, I was like, I'm not doing this job. Like, I'm not. I sent her a price, and it was a good price, but it also put priority service there. So it was not the cheapest, and it wasn't ever going to be. But you want me done? You want me out there within 2 weeks? Like, I already told you I could get you out here within 2 weeks, which is really reasonable. Calling any other irrigation companies out here, they're going to be out 6 weeks at least. And then at the same time, you're asking for a good price, and it's like, well, I'm trying to be competitive. Oh, but that right there tells me I want it as cheap as possible, I want it done yesterday. And it's like, I wasted my time to come do this. You just know you're not going to get that job.